Hello, hello, welcome to the first episode of Monetize with Megan on Mondays. It is my pleasure to bring our first topic of Monetize with Megan to you today, where we are going to be talking about releasing the employee mindset so you can fully embody your inner CEO, your inner entrepreneur for the ultimate financial freedom in your business, in your life. So we are going to dive right in. If you're getting here just now, please pop in, say hello, let me know where you're from. I want to engage with you. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay so that I know that you've been here and I can connect with you. Okay, so first things first, there is a huge difference between an employee mindset and an energetically rooted entrepreneur and CEO. And when we want fantastic results like I get in my businesses, or the kind of results that I support my clients with, like creating 500K in 3 hours a day during doing the work that lights my clients up, we need to transition from what we have been conditioned for. And this conditioning starts early on in our lives to be employees, to be worker bees. And so what we're going to go over today is how do you shift from that conditioning into the grounded CEO? How do you bring out that inner leader that will allow your business to create massive success, allow yourself to bring in whatever kind of money that you feel will create sovereignty and financial freedom? Right? And so what I'm about to show you back here, I want to preface with all of this to say that this is not about hierarchical, that entrepreneurs are somehow better than employees, not at all. This message is, however, speaking to those who must be their own boss, who must live life on their terms, who demand and require sovereignty and freedom in all areas with their time, with their message, with their gifts, with their money. And so while we will talk about some differences, nowhere in this is this hierarchical, because here's the thing, we were all born with a collective conditioning. And that conditioning has been going on for a long time. And so that collective conditioning is what plays out most often, which is an employer mindset, right? Which is I go out and I sacrifice my time and I will get a financial reward in return, right? So you give a lot of your time, energy, and effort, and you get a little bit of an income so that you can sustain your life. That is the conditioning that we've all had, especially in public schooling and other things, right? So this is pretty fair across the board that everyone has a similar conditioning. Now, what we do in intuitive business consulting is we start cultivating what we're naturally born with, which is intuition and inner leadership, okay? So we're gonna go over some of the differences. I'm just pulling up my notes here. We're going to go over some of the differences so that you can start identifying where is it that you are, where are you playing the most, right? Because if you're playing in the employee portion of this triangle, then you are definitely in the realm of sacrifice versus service. And we want to be cultivating and working your way up. Intuitive business works your way up into an entrepreneurial, energetic, and mindset space. That is where we find the freedom and the sovereignty. So some of the ways that you can determine this is, by looking at this grid. Now keep in mind the triangle, once again, it's not about hierarchical. It's not about entrepreneurs being on top, right? Instead, what it's about is that down here where we have employees, it's where most people land, right? Again, because that takes us back to that childhood conditioning where we all got a similar conditioning, which is you kind of go out and work, you sacrifice your time, energy, and effort, you get a little bit of money, and you can have a good life, right? So that is what is at the bottom of this triangle here, because there's more people living there, okay? So how to know if you're identifying or showing up in your life, in your business day to day as an employee will be, you're definitely living according to your conditioning, right? You haven't started breaking yourself out of that matrix and stepping into your sovereignty. Instead, you are living according to the programming and the conditioning that you had as a child. You play safe. You play safe all the time, right? At least 90% of the time, you are playing safe. You demand clarity, okay? If you're falling in line or resonating as an employee, you demand clarity, right? I need to know what is coming. Clarity looks like when do I clock in? When do I clock out? How much will I make? What will my retirement be when I end? It is, I have to know. I need proof that this is going to be working out for me, or else I don't do well, right? That's part of the conditioning. We are actually born with that. That is part of the conditioning that doesn't serve us. So safe and clarity, right? There's a lot of safety. There's a lot of clarity. There's not much movement, right? You don't have quantum leaps as an employee in the sense of you don't go from $0 to $100,000 in a month, right? Now, as an entrepreneur, very doable, happens all the time, right? But as an employee, there's not much movement, and there is a big aversion to risk, a huge aversion to risk. That's why an employee mindset demands safety and clarity, because there isn't much capacity for risk, right? Now, if you are identifying with some of these and you're trying to run a business, you're probably running into some issues like cash flow, maybe spinning your wheels. You don't know what to do because there isn't an outside source telling you how to do it and when to do it. Maybe you don't make big money moves because there's no proof of an ROI like you get from a paycheck. Those sorts of things will be seeping into your business. And part of what we do in intuitive business is we start letting those conditions go, because remember, it was just a conditioning. You're just like this innocent, clean slate as a little one that was conditioned with these belief systems. It actually isn't even what is innate or natural for us, okay? So if you are identifying as an employee here, you're resonating with that, and you're trying to run a business, you're definitely probably running into some issues, okay? So now we're going to move into the entrepreneur. Many people that come to me are entrepreneurs, right? This means that they have a big vision. They have a calling on their heart. They're typically managerial in the sense of they're high up. If they aren't already entrepreneurs, then they're high up in the business or the corporate or the company that they are working within. They're doing a lot of leadership already, right? Because they're self-directed. They don't necessarily need someone to tell them what they're going to do in order to naturally take action, right? And they're in an excellence zone. Excellence zone is the death of the entrepreneur. The excellence zone means I'm staying in the zone that I know I'm really, really, really good at, because I don't dare do my genius zone. What I love, love, love to do and what would light me up, I don't dare do that because I need this security of my excellence zone. And the entrepreneur that isn't quite an entrepreneur as successfully, right? As in they can create hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year doing what it is that they love. The entrepreneur is still risk adverse, like the employee, and or doesn't have the desire to go beyond their excellence zone, right? Maybe they aren't doing their great work of soul evolution through their business, or they simply just enjoy being, at the top within a company, but not being the full-on leader, right? The visionary that makes sure all keeps moving even when the entrepreneur goes home, right? So the entrepreneur is still risk adverse. Now, if the entrepreneur has a desire to be an entrepreneur, then usually what is holding them back from being a successful entrepreneur is the risk aversion. They don't know how to hold the capacity for failing. They don't know how to be risky and enjoy it. Instead, that risk is so scary that they stay as an entrepreneur. Unless, of course, they just don't have the desire, right? Same for employees. Many employees, they don't have the desire for what is required for an entrepreneur to be successful. Now, this is where intuition will lead you as an entrepreneur, which is entrepreneur, right? We want you, the ones that are here are called to business ownership. They're called to lead. They are called to be entrepreneurs, right? So they go all in. An entrepreneur goes all in. I've had 4 businesses, right? I mean, I have gone in over and over and over for a decade. I go in, right? They are led entrepreneurs who have found it, right? They click, they're in the zone, it's working, they're making money, it's sustainable, it's exciting, it's their purpose, it's their passion, and it's successful. They are led by something greater than their thoughts. They are led by something greater than their mind, and they're led by something greater than a human desire, because you actually don't stay committed long enough to reach this point, a successful entrepreneur, if you are not led by something greater than a human desire, greater than the human chatter that says, I can't do this, I'm afraid, greater than the fear of risk, right? There is something that calls an entrepreneur that must do this. It calls to them. And that, my friends, is your intuition. An entrepreneur plays with risk, welcomes risks, breathes it in, because the risk that you're willing to take is also the reward you are willing to take, right? Many people will forego the reward so they don't have to feel the stretch or sometimes the pinch of risk. Now, failure for a successful entrepreneur is a launch pad, right? There's some people who fail and they crawl to the corner and they curl and they fetal and they give the fuck up. An entrepreneur springboards from that. They go, whew, what is here for me to learn? What can I do here with this? What is this failure teaching me? What information within this plop, whatever that fail might have been, what information is here to help me succeed even more? They use failure as a springboard to catapult them, right? When we're over here an entrepreneur doesn't play with failure and risk. They do really good at their job and they go home. An employee doesn't even think about risk or failure, right? Okay, and then the other thing about an entrepreneur is that there is a high reward. This is why, for those of us who stay in the game, this is why that failure is a springboard. This is why the risk is worth it. It is the ultimate reward of financial freedom, of time sovereignty, of wealth, of influence. That's why an entrepreneur stays with the risk, because the reward outweighs the risk. Having financial freedom, having financial sovereignty, time freedom, wealth, influence, it outweighs the risk every time. And that's why an entrepreneur, when they fail, they go, okay, this is just one in the bucket. Let's go on to the next thing. Let's go on to the next thing. And they keep moving. Now, keep in mind, the entrepreneur also has a strong desire that when they are bored or of what they're currently working on, or it hasn't caught yet, they haven't seen the return, they stay with it. That strong desire, again, that being led by something greater than their fear, something greater than their mind, something greater than their humanness, is a desire that is ineffable. It's ineffable, and it is worth failing for 1,000,000 times. However, just because you are willing to fail 1,000,000 times to reap the rewards of entrepreneurship does not mean that you have to. And that's what we do inside of Intuitive Business Consulting, is we start cultivating these sorts of natural, Okay, these are natural tendencies of the human. We start cultivating those natural tendencies again. We start letting go and releasing the conditioning of the employee so that you can embody that entrepreneur, right? That's what intuitive business does. Because intuitive business cultivates the entrepreneur, it builds courage. Because remember, down here as an employee, employees demand clarity. Tell me when I come to work, tell me when I go home, and tell me how much I'm gonna make and when I'm gonna make it. But the entrepreneur demands courage and inner leadership. That's what they want. They'd rather have the freedom and act on courage than the confinement and act on clarity. And so part of what you are doing as you are saying yes to your vision, as you're saying yes to entrepreneurship, as you're saying yes to your business pouring through you, you are also saying, I let go of this conditioning. I let go of the need to make other people happy. I let go of the fear of rejection. Now, how you do that is part of the great work, right? That is part of the great work that your soul is here to do. And if you have a calling for wealth and business and entrepreneurship and leadership, then your great work is happening through business. And what running your business or leading your business will surface for you are these conditional fears, right? The fear of being rejected, the fear of trying and it not working out, the fear of losing money. Whatever those big fears are, what will my parents think? I'll be the only entrepreneur, right? And isn't that the truth? That's why entrepreneurs are led by courage, because typically there is no path. There is no path, but they are courageous enough to bulldoze a path, right? They're courageous enough to make the path. And then the entrepreneur is typically there helping them do that, right? If you have a business already and you've got yourself a right-hand man or woman like I do, an entrepreneur is very, very important. Very, very important, as are the employees, right? Everyone here is so important. So remember, it's not hierarchical, but it is, hey, if you are called to be an entrepreneur, you will have to allow the employee within you to die. Allow her to rest. Disillusion yourself from that aspect that was conditioned and merge with your inner CEO and your inner leader, right? Remember some of these qualities. These are qualities that you can contemplate and that you can hold within meditation. And if you're curious how I can take you deeper into this great work so that you too can generate 500K in 3 hours a day doing the work that is on your heart, then I urge you to book a call. Let's chat. You can find the link below. Bye for now. I'll see you next week with Monetize with Megan. It's going to be another fabulous training. So I'll see you then. Bye.